Hi, sweet friends. We are back for another story. Again, I know I keep saying it, even though St. Patrick's Day was on Tuesday, there are so many great books about that holiday. So, we are slowly coming to the end of those stories, but we have another one right now. This story is called Leprechaun on the Loose. Now, this boy right here, his class is getting ready for a St. Patrick's Day party. But there is some trouble because this little man, this leprechaun, is wreaking havoc. He's running around messing everything up. But no one believes the little boy. So let's see what happens with Leprechaun on the Loose. A leprechaun was loose in the classroom, and Sidney was the only one who knew it. Look, can you tell that there's a leprechaun in the room? Do you see the little green footprints? Sidney saw teeny tiny green footprints on the floor. He followed them to the table where Mrs. Yoder had cupcakes for their St. Patrick's Day party. Sidney peeked inside the box. All the green icing had been licked off the cupcakes. Oh no. Is anyone going to want to eat those cupcakes? If you got a cupcake that the icing was missing, would you eat it? Sidney set out to find that leprechaun. It was plain bad luck when he stepped on his own shoelace. Oof! Whoosh! Splat! Sidney fell right on the table. Now look at Sidney. He smushed the rest of the cupcakes. Oh, who's down there? And look at all the friends in his class. They're like, what are you doing? You're squishing our cupcakes. Sidney ruined our party snack, Della Puddington told everyone when Mrs. Yoder threw away the squashed box. I didn't do it, Sidney said. It was the leprechaun. An itty-bitty hee-hee-hee came from behind the fish tank, but Sidney was the only one who heard it. Oh, look. This must be Della. Look, there's Miss Yoder throwing away the cupcakes. There's Sidney. Like, it wasn't me. It was a leprechaun. But has anyone else seen the leprechaun? During reading time, Sidney noticed something was wrong with the fish. He sneaked to the back of the room and looked into the tank. The leprechaun was swimming the backstroke, and the fish were definitely not happy. So look, do you see the leprechaun in the tank? Oh dear. Poor fish. Splashing all their water around. Sidney, oh Sidney. Sidney dove after the leprechaun. Plop, kerplunk, sploosh. Water soaked the table. So look, here's Sidney diving into the tank. The leprechaun is getting away, and it looks like they've made some decorations. Sidney ruined our decorations, Della cried when Mrs. Yoder threw away the soggy paper shamrocks. I didn't do it, Sidney said. It was the leprechaun. Sidney was sure he heard a tiny little ha-ha-ha as he mopped up the mess. Oh, look, Della is not happy. The teacher's throwing it all away, and Sidney can't get them to believe him. I don't know that jumping in the fish tank was really the best choice. Just a thought. During science class, Sidney heard a creak, creak, creak coming from the hamster's cage. Sidney tiptoed to the cage. He carefully opened the door and came face to face with the leprechaun. While Sidney and the leprechaun stared at each other, the hamster, ran out the open door and across the table. Sidney dove after the hamster. Boom, bam, crash. Sidney fell against the table. Juice went everywhere, just as the hamster scurried out of sight. Oh no. See? Do you you see the hamster running across the table? And over here, he's getting away. Do you think his classmates are going to be happy or upset with him? Cupcakes, decorations, juice. Our juice is gone, Della said with a sniffle. So are the decorations and all of our cupcakes. Sidney ruined our St. Patrick's Day party. Sidney wasn't sure if he heard a faint tee-hee-hee from behind a stack of reading books. Nobody believed Sidney didn't do it. There was only one thing for him to do. He had to catch that leprechaun so people would believe him. At recess, Sidney sneaked past his teacher and ran to the art corner. Everything he needed was there. Now think, why would Sidney be going to the art corner if he needs to catch the leprechaun? Let's see if you're right. Sidney pounded and snapped and glued. Perfect, he said when he was finished with his leprechaun trap. Then he hurried into the lunchroom and looked through the lunch trays until he found a stinky tidbit of corned beef. It's a type of meat that they eat a lot in Ireland. So how cool is that leprechaun trap? Do you see how he has the stinky corned beef on the plate and he's holding his nose? He's hoping that that will be enough to make the leprechaun go into the trap. Let's see if it works. Sidney carefully reached inside his leprechaun trap with the bait. Just then, oh no, his foot knocked into the back of the trap. Swish, clang, zing. Sidney was caught inside. Oh no, look. He was trying to put it in, and his foot kicked the lever. But look what all it says on the box. All leprechauns welcome. Back door release button. So you can open the back door with that button. And up here it says tasty treats. That's a really cool leprechaun trap. He heard the tippity-tap, tippity of itty-bitty boots. I do believe I've caught myself a boy, that I have, said the leprechaun with a grin. Let me out, Sidney begged. The tiny man scratched under his tall green hat. Now why should I be wanting to do such a thing as that? He asked. Instead of Sidney catching a leprechaun, the leprechaun says he has caught himself a boy. How is Sidney going to get the leprechaun to let him out? If you're sitting next to someone, tell them your idea. Maybe Sidney won't ever get out until his class comes back inside. Let's see what happens. Sidney thought fast. Come closer and I'll tell you a secret, he said. Oh, secret? I love secrets, said the leprechaun as he inched forward. That's when Sidney made his move. He reached out and tickled the leprechaun right under his chin. Oh my, look. We've read stories before where the character says, come closer. Let's see if it works. Ha ha ha, hee hee, ho ho ho. The leprechaun fell down, hit the trap door, and the door flew open. So look, when the leprechaun fell down, he kicked the release button for the door. Oh, what is Sidney going to do? Sidney rolled out and pushed the leprechaun inside. Swish, clang, zing. I've got you, Sidney yelled. Now I can prove that you ruined the party and not me. Look, he's pushed the leprechaun into the cage. He's like, I've got you. You licked the icing. You were messing around in the fish tank. You were in the hamster cage. Party? Said the little man. I'll I'll make you a deal. Let me go and I'll save the party. Then I'll be gone and you'll never see me again." "How can a leprechaun save our party?" Sidney asked. "With me treasure, of course." "Should he keep the leprechaun and prove he didn't ruin everything?" Sidney wondered. "Or should he let the leprechaun go and save the party for his friends?" We learned in Fluffy that leprechauns never tell a lie. So do you believe that the leprechaun will truly save the party if Sidney lets him go? Would you let him go? Sidney was running out of time. His class was right outside the door. He had to decide. "Quick, tell me where your treasure is," Sidney said. He leaned close and the leprechaun whispered into his ear. So here he is whispering. "I hope he tells the truth." Sidney knew a deal was a deal. He opened the trap door and watched the leprechaun climb out. The leprechaun turned one last time, tipped his hat at Sidney. Then the teeny tiny man slipped out the window and was gone. Sidney found the treasure right where the leprechaun said it would be. It was just what he needed to save the party. So look, here's the leprechaun leaving, and look at the treats. We've got cupcakes and juice boxes and chocolate coins. Oh my goodness. And balloons. We've got decorations. So did the leprechaun tell the truth? Is this enough to save the party? The class cheered. Even Della Paddington smiled at Sidney. Mrs. Yoder wasn't mad at him anymore, even if she didn't quite believe where Sidney got the party supplies. Sidney was finally able to forget all the trouble the leprechaun had caused. Then Sidney heard something terrible. Uh-oh. So they're having a great time. What sound do you think Sidney heard that was not a good sound? I have a couple of ideas. Do you have a few as well? "Excuse me, lad," said a tiny voice from behind Sidney's crayon box. "I'm looking for me brother. Have you seen him anywhere?" Oh dear. Another leprechaun. So if he is looking for his brother, who is he looking for? Why does Sidney think this may mean more trouble? What a great story. Leprechaun, on the loose. So, Sidney did not ruin his class's party, but do you think that it was only the leprechaun's fault? I feel like Sidney caused some of his trouble on his own. Find someone in your house, a grown-up, sister, brother, babysitter, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, and tell them about what happened in Leprechaun on the Loose. What were some of the things that were ruined for the party? How did Sidney save the day? And what happened at the very end of the story? I hope you enjoyed this book. I know I did, and I hope to read to you again soon. Have a great day. See you later. Bye.